What's up, everybody? This is your boy Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to, of course, talk about tariffs and Trump and the 90-day pause, as it were. But first, we're going to get into we're going to stay with a lot of things that has happened because of the tariffs themselves. One of the things that has happened is that the American automakers have started to give out employee pricing. They've started lowering the prices on their vehicles in lieu of, other automakers having to raise their prices so they can get their vehicles off quicker, and specifically at this time. And what they did was, specifically GM, they set out, what Stellantis did was put out these commercials. And I thought they were pretty good commercials. I'm going to show you one of the commercials first, and then we're going to read the story about how they had to pull these commercials from YouTube. And I really like this commercial.
First, we dropped in to tackle any job. Then we built the first muscle truck, then added the legendary Hemi engine. Ram has redefined what a truck can do. Built from the ground up in America, investing billions more to build what's next. Ram has always powered American freedom. Now with our Freedom of Choice pricing program, visit your local dealer to choose your offer. Cash incentives or employee pricing for all. Because nothing stops America, and nothing stops Ram.
See, that was a good commercial. I really liked that commercial. And it's of course, it's Stellantis and Ram taking advantage of the whole tariff situation and really stomping down on the idea that we want to buy American, or we want to concentrate on spending our dollars here in America to help the American people. And that's what that was. It was also offers for cash pricing for vehicles and employee pricing for everybody. All these things that are a benefit to the American people, and a complete opposite of what everybody has been thinking was going to happen when these tariffs were engaged. Let's check out the story behind this. We're going to read the story that they set up here. And of course, we're going to our place, Automotive News, to check out these stories. So, Stellantis pulls Jeep, Ram, and Dodge tariff response ads after built-in USA scrutiny. Okay? This is by E.J. Schultz, and this is from today. In the wake of the Trump administration implementing new 25% tariffs on foreign-made autos, Stellantis in recent days began running patriotic ads for Jeep, Ram, and Dodge that tout the models are being built in America, as well as new discount programs. However, the automaker is now altering the campaign in response to scrutiny from an ad watchdog that alleges Stellantis engaged in deceptive marketing because some of the parts used in the vehicles are imported. Of course they are. Truth in Advertising, a nonprofit known as TINA that tracks misleading marketing, cites Federal Trade Commission rules that state products marketed as made in the USA be all or virtually all made in the U.S. The matter shows how brands of all kinds must be careful with made in USA claims as they put out messaging related to President Donald Trump's aggressive tariff program. And that's the Jeep ad. I didn't want to show that one. Stellantis has every right to boast of its brand's assembly plants in the United States that create American jobs and strengthen the U.S. economy, but it cannot illegally embellish the amount of manufacturing that takes place domestically, Truth in Advertising wrote in a letter dated April 8th, addressed to Stellantis Global CMO Oliver Francois and Giorgio Fossati, the automaker's general counsel. Stellantis has since pulled the ads from YouTube and is planning to make adjustments while prematurely ending a TV campaign. The Jeep ad began running on TV on April 6, while the Ram spot began airing April 7, according to iSpot TV. Both ads also ran on April 8th. The TV campaign was originally planned to run for about a week, but will end a day early to address specific concerns brought to its attention regarding language, according to Stellantis spokesperson. The campaign will continue its run on social media channels once concerns are addressed. On its website, Tina states that the Stellantis models in the campaign are made with engine, motor, or transmission parts sourced from all over the world, from Mexico to Italy to the Philippines. The bottom line, the cars are not made or built in the USA, but rather assembled in the US using a significant amount of imported parts. The FTC rules stipulate that to make a made in the USA claim, products should contain no or negligible foreign content. Virtually all U.S. assembled vehicles include at least some imported parts. USA-made cars with all U.S. parts is a fictional tale, Don Ives, the global head of technology research of Wedbush Securities, recently told NBC News. Made in the USA marketing often comes down to subtitles, subtilities. The FCC rules note that a claim can be expressed or implied. Even U.S. symbols or geographic references can be scrutinized if they convey a claim of U.S. origin, either by themselves or in conjunction with other phrases or images, according to the FTC. Stellantis seemingly erred by using the phrases build or built in its ads, which come from donor. The Jeep TV ad called American Freedom recalls the brand history as a vehicle used by the U.S. military in World War II, before pivoting to describe how the Wrangler and Gladiator are built in Toledo, Ohio, and the Grand Cherokee and Grand Wagoneer are built in Michigan. In the Ram ad, a voiceover describes the brand as built from the ground up in America while showing a scene of an assembly plant in Michigan with the Ram 1500. Both ads end by plugging a new freedom of choice pricing program that gives buyers the option to choose cash incentives or to pay the same price for vehicles that employees pay. All right, we're going to stop there because that's kind of the point that I wanted to make is that I enjoyed the ad because, well, I knew the ad was a lie. I mean, to some degrees, we all understand. And there's a list that I was going to go over, but it's just a long, long list, and it just get monotonous after a little while. But the list dictates all of the vehicles that have import parts in them and that they'll be scrutinized or be affected by tariffs. And it was pretty much all vehicles. I mean, the list was everybody: BMW, GM, Ford, Chevy. It included dang near every model of vehicle that is available in U.S. streets. Almost all of them, pretty much. That's why I didn't go over it, because it'd be just me sitting here going over a list of all the cars that are on the road in the U.S. and that in redundant. So my whole thing is that I understand that, you know, the Ram vehicles are pretty much just built here, and a large majority of their parts come from overseas. But my enjoyment of the video was the employee pricing and the price matching, because that tells me that even with these tariffs looming and tariffs available, and us knowing that these vehicles have parts from overseas, the price is still going down. The price is still going down. They're still offering employee pricing. They're still offering matching pricing. So the price still on these products is going down, even with all the tariffs in effect. Because we're going to get into it later, but Trump didn't stop the auto tariffs. He just put a 90-day pause on the other tariffs and not on China, because a lot of stuff comes from China. Yeah, I had to give up my Temu app the other day. I was kind of pissed. But I understand. And I was usually just getting stuff from local warehouses, which just as bad, I guess, but whatever. What I'm saying is that for me, I know the ads in some way, shape, or form are fictional, but the important part is that we can see that these companies are going to start to compete for your dollar by lowering prices and offering incentives like employee pricing and other things like that. So we can understand that this whole idea that tariffs are going to skyrocket prices, it's not going to skyrocket prices on stuff that are here in America, and it's not going to skyrocket prices to the point that people are still not going to compete and lower their prices so that people still buy their product because it's not expensive. This is a competition. This is competition, competitiveness. If you are sitting here like these companies and making over 150% profit on these vehicles, you can tend to lose $1 or $2. All right, let's keep going. So, it's not sad. I wasn't a big fan of it, but GM is I am Cadillac Chris, so of course, if there's a story about Cadillacs, I'm going to bring it to you. And Cadillac or GM has decided that they're going to get rid of one of their models, the XT6. And I drove an XT6 for about 4 or 5 months. And they're not bad cars. They just, all the XT6, the XT4, all these cars, they're not bad vehicles, of course. The Cadillac said they can't be extremely bad vehicles, but they not Escalades. You know, they just not Escalades. And they don't feel like that. They feel like Acadias. You know GMC Acadia? That's what they feel like. And you can't be sitting in a Cadillac and not have it feel like a Cadillac. And there was a lot of problems what I had with the XT models. They were nice vehicles, you know, all the bells and whistles, but they just didn't feel like Cadillacs. You know what I mean? So we're going to go over a story about GM deciding that they're going to get rid of one of their Cadillac models, the XT6. And I talked about this before. It's going to be competitive, just like we were talking about. A lot of these U.S. automakers are going to have to decide to get rid of a whole bunch of models. They just too many models. There's way too many models out there. And I know it's going to affect some, you know, job availability to some degree, but we have reached a point where GM, Stellantis, all these U.S. automakers have just saturated the market with just way too many models of vehicles. Nothing. They gotta bear down. They gotta concentrate on the vehicles that are successful and start to weed out these vehicles that are not getting sold, pretty much. So let's check out a story about GM getting rid of the Cadillac XT6, and we'll probably read the backstory as well, and then we'll head into Trump.
GM has announced that it will be discontinuing the Cadillac XT6 crossover, a move that is part of the company's broader strategy to optimize its product lineup and improve efficiency. At the same time, GM is extending production of another vehicle at its manufacturing plant in Tennessee. Cadillac XT6, a discontinued model, the Cadillac XT6 crossover was introduced in 2019 as a 2020 model, but it has not gained significant traction in the market. Despite its sleek design and advanced features, the vehicle has not been able to compete effectively with other crossovers in its class. As a result, GM has decided to discontinue the XT6 and focus on other models that have shown more promise. Extending production in Tennessee. While the Cadillac XT6 is being discontinued, GM is extending production of another vehicle at its manufacturing plant in Tennessee. The plant, which produces the GMC Acadia, will continue to operate at full capacity, with production expected to continue well into the next year. The decision to extend production is a positive sign for the plant and its employees, who have worked hard to build a successful vehicle. A strategic shift for GM. GM's decision to discontinue the Cadillac XT6 and extend production of the GMC Acadia is a strategic move that reflects the company's efforts to...
Y'all gotta see how crazy that is, right? Y'all gotta see how crazy that is, because, you know, me sitting here telling y'all that the XT6 just feels like a GMC Acadia, and them showing you that they're going to get rid of the XT6 and then amp up production of the GMC Acadia shows you that the world understands that the Cadillac XT6 was just a fancy GMC Acadia with the Cadillac logo on it. You know what I mean? People are not stupid. You know, people have got to the point where, like, hey, you know, XT6 decent, but this GMC Acadia like damn near $40,000 less. Same car, ride the same, feel the same. So what they gonna do? Let's get rid of this Cadillac XT6. We're gonna ramp up production of the GMC Acadia, which is a hot selling model SUV. Lots of people have that Acadia. It's a great car. It's a great car, but it's a lot cheaper than the XT6. And you're not getting anything. The Cadillac name, it just doesn't have the weight that it used to, unless you got a Escalade or a DeVille or some shit like that. the Cadillac name just does not hold the weight that it used to. So let's get rid of the XT6 and make some more Acadias.
Optimize its product lineup and improve efficiency. By focusing on vehicles that are in high demand and discontinuing models that are not performing well, GM is positioning itself for success in a rapidly changing market.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you hate to see any Cadillac go to waste. But, I mean, if it's a situation where you just took a GMC Acadia and slapped the Cadillac badge on there and thought you were going to sell this car for $50,000, $60,000 more than the GMC Acadia, you were stupid. I mean, Cadillac is a brand that has built itself on particular models. And then when you decide you're going to add the XT6 and the XT4 and the XT3, which, don't get me wrong, great vehicles, but they're not what Cadillac users want. They're not what the people who still love Cadillac are probably getting super duper old. Let's face it. I'm old. Most people who are Cadillac people are old. So you try to bring in all this new stuff, stuff that you think the kids are like, and the kids are not stupid. The kids understand that the XT6, man, hey, this XT6 is decent, got the Cadillac badge on it, but it's like $50,000 more than this Acadia, and this Acadia, you know what I'm saying, is the same car. So, I mean, it's just a situation where a lot of brands, GM, Stellantis, you know, Ford, they're going to have to get rid of the waste. They're really going to have to get rid of the waste. And that's what this year has been about, and it's going to have to be about that when it comes to the U.S. automakers. They have to get rid of the waste. The XT6 is waste. You know, just get rid of all the vehicles that are not selling and concentrate on the ones that are. All right, my friends, let's get into the last bit. Of course, we're going to jump into some Trump pause and tariff situation. And I've always said to you guys that the tariff thing was more of a negotiation tactic than anything else. That is what I think. But let's check out what they're talking about. We'll check out the video. I think this is from CBS News, and then we'll read the story on Automotive News, so you know, get the full context.
Welcome back to America Decides. The world's second largest economy, that's China, was the only country not included in President Trump's 90-day tariff pause. And remember, that's a pause with an asterisk. There's still a 10% baseline tariff applied to everyone. But about China, our colleague Ed O'Keefe asked Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about that earlier today.
I'm not calling it a trade war, but I'm saying that China has escalated, and President Trump responded very courageously to that, and we are going to work on a solution with our trading partners.
Finn Gomez, CBS News political director. He has lots of other vaunted titles, but we'll just go with that. Joins me now at the table. Finn, this was something inconsistent with what the president, the press secretary, and other administration officials said Monday and Tuesday. Stay cool. Hold the line. We're not budging. And now we have got this new thing.
Yeah, so, you know, administration officials have told me that there is a strategy in this chaos. There's a strategy in this chaotic situation that we're seeing now. And we saw Bessent also say that, of course, publicly. But, you know, they're getting leverage out of this. They're getting 75 countries that have come back who said, let's make a deal, right? That's Trump's big play. Let's make a deal. However, we did see, it was quite a pivot, Major. You noted the White House press secretary. However, we did see, it was quite a pivot, Major. You noted the White House press secretary yesterday was asked point blank, will there be a pause, will there be extension? And she said no.
Right.
So how do we go from there to here? He was asked about it in the Oval Office a little while ago, why he made this change. He said he made this change this morning. We do know, we can confirm that he was getting pressure, as we know, from the Hill, Republicans on the Hill, from donors, from stakeholders who supported the president. He was getting from all sides, right? Pressure to move on.
And Finn, there was also something that happened overnight. The bond markets got very, very spiky.
Right.
The mortgage rate for a 30-year mortgage in the country this morning rose to 7%. Lots of people are looking at that and saying the White House had to have taken some notice of that.
Oh, absolutely. And the president himself was asked about this. And he said he acknowledged watching, especially the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond sell-off. There was a massive sell-off yesterday going into today. And the president said that, it was making some people a little queasy, quote, a little queasy. But right now it's beautiful, quote the president. But yes, I mean, if you look at that, it did have financial experts who watched this saying this could lead to some real financial instability.
So, I believe that, of course, any act like this, tariffs, pretty much a situational fight with other countries over the cost of things. You understand that it's going to make the market fluctuate up and down. Of course, I'm going to jump on that stock, check out Anton Daniels and check out this, stock club and take advantage myself. But we have to realize that this is still a situation where the tariffs have worked. I mean, we talk about this all the time of all the what he say? Did he say like 75 countries have already lowered, accepted the tariffs, lowered the tariffs? My whole thing is that the whole thing for me is the fact that we have been paying tariffs to these countries for all these years and they haven't been paying tariffs to us. That is my whole thing about this. That is my upset point, because I can't believe that as a country we were allowing other countries to charge us to sell goods in their country, but we weren't doing the same to them. And and once again, I truly believe, and I'll speak on this more at the end, but I truly believe that from the get-go, the whole tariff thing was a massive negotiation tool.
And that was also something that the White House was definitely watching as well.
And something to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the public face of the pause today was President Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. That is telling. More on that in future shows. Finn Gomez, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I don't know why that was telling. I think Trump has been the face of pretty much everything he's done since he's been in office. So I don't believe that is the telling part. But once again, I know, and of course, matter of fact, let's read Automotive News' story report on this real quickly, and we'll talk about it a little bit, and I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Let's check it out. So, of course, Automotive News. Trump pauses reciprocal tariffs on most countries. Auto tariffs still in effect, White House says. This is by John Irwin from Today. President Donald Trump is pausing reciprocal tariffs on most countries for 90 days and is instead implementing a base tariff of 10% on most goods. The pause does not extend to sectorial tariffs, including autos, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said at an April 9th news conference at the White House. Those tariffs include a 25% duty on vehicle imports that went into effect April 3rd, as well as steel and aluminum levies. The move represents an about face by the Trump administration, which implemented reciprocal duties on countries earlier in the day, April 9th. Those reciprocal duties will no longer apply and will be replaced by a 10% levy for 90 days while the White House negotiates with other nations on trade, Bessent said. You have to have flexibility on tariffs, Trump told reporters. The reciprocal tariffs do not apply to vehicles and parts subject to the auto tariff, nor do they apply to steel and aluminum imports, but many segments were hoping for relief. Glenn Stevens, Jr., Executive Director of the Mich Auto Regional Trade Group, said in a statement that he wanted to see any pause extend tariffs on assembled vehicles and components, as well as steel and aluminum, critical materials for the auto industry. Mich Auto continues to advocate for protect the automotive industry's complex international supply chain framework from harmful fragmentation that weakens its global competitiveness, he said. The tariff pause did not apply to imports from China. Trump said he would raise tariffs on those goods to 125% after China retaliated against his latest round of levies. Trump had previously raised the effective tariff rate on most Chinese goods to 104%. China wants to make a deal, Trump said. They just don't know how quite to go about it. More than 75 countries have contacted the White House since Trump announced his reciprocal duties April 2nd, Benson said. Adding to that, the tariffs the administration announced they then should be seen by the market as a ceiling. Do not retaliate and you will be rewarded, Benson said. Stocks surged on the news. The S&P 500 rose 9.5%, erasing much of the losses the index had incurred in recent days. Automaker and supplier stocks also climbed significantly. Shares in Ford gained 9.3%. General Motors stock rose 7.7%, and Tesla shares surged 22.7%. Shares in Lear Corp rose 10.2%. The pauses appeared in part to be a reaction to the volatility in stock and bond markets since the reciprocal tariffs were announced. I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. Trump said they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid. Trump said he was watching the bond market before announcing the pause. The bond market is very tricky, he said. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now, but I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. Dan Ives, an analyst at Wedbush, said Trump's pullback on a self-inflicted Armageddon tariff came after extreme market losses. This was the news we and everyone on the street was waiting for as the pressure on Trump took on a life of its own, he said on April 9th. Note, we would expect massive negotiations across the board. Tesla CEO Elon Musk posted a celebratory meme showing a cartoon gamer in a Captain America outfit with a rocket headed upward in the background. Musk engaged in a public spat with the White House trade counselor Pete Navarro in recent days over the tariffs. Musk said he prefers free trade generally, including zero tariffs with Europe. Patrick Anderson, CEO of Anderson Economic Group, is sticking with his previous estimate of vehicle price increasing in the thousands of dollars because of all the tariffs remain in effect. Anderson expects tariffs to add $2,500 to $5,000 to the price of the lowest cost American-made cars, and up to $20,000 for some imported models. I'm going to end it right there. And that dude is full of it. He don't know what he's talking about because obviously from the first story we showed, they were going to lower prices and they're going to go give out employee pricing. So once again, the tariffs, my guy, is a negotiation tactic. It has worked. It has worked. It has worked. As far as we can tell, 75 countries have stepped in and negotiated when it comes to tariffs. So it's not a step back. This is him doing what he's doing, and it is working. Now, I don't see the problem. If the board that they showed in that one speech or press conference is true, then we're letting other countries get off easily. We're letting these countries get off by forcing us to pay a lot more in tariffs than they're paying us. Why is that? Because we're the big dog. We're the big dog. U.S. is the big dog. Okay? We're looking down on y'all. Now, is that why we continued for years and years on paying y'all tariffs when y'all wasn't paying us none? Maybe, because we thought we was big and bad. We had everything. Now we have to realize that we don't have everything. That we're losing jobs. People are suffering. The American economy is suffering. The automotive industry is suffering. And we have to build it back up. And I believe that these auto tariffs are going to help us do that. So, let's keep it going. All right, my friends, I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. Perfect timing. Still beautiful outside. I'm going to go do something real quick, hit the beach, and then I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. I hope you do too. I'm your boy, Chris Surratt. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.